Come on in. Have a seat. Of course. That's fine. How have you been? I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. I know last time you were here, last session, you were really feeling anxious and overwhelmed. You have bad anxiety, you're having some panic attacks. Yeah. Are you doing any better this week? The last 2 weeks, I should say. Has it been better? Just grab my file here, jot down some notes. Alright, so last time you were struggling, you said your anxiety was bad, you started to feel overwhelmed, you're getting panic attacks, the dissociation feeling as well. I tried to give you a couple tips on that, breathing exercises, take long walks, anything. You said you like video games. Oh yeah, you did. That helped a little bit, huh? Yeah, I noticed that. Anything, even if it's work or anything else. Anything that could take your mind off your panic. It's very good for the panic attacks in particular. Is that what you started playing the game for? Yeah. Yeah, let me just... So video game worked. So what in particular set off this panic attack? Nothing, huh? It kind of just came on. You said you were just sitting there watching TV, and you just happened to kind of look towards the window, and you just felt weird. Okay. Yeah, you look towards the window, you felt weird. No, that's normal. They can come out of nowhere, and you might just went to a zone, had a weird thought, even subconsciously, and boom, it just kind of sets off a panic attack, triggers a panic attack. You said so you started to feel weird. Did you get the disassociation feeling this time with this one? No? Okay. So there's no disassociation feeling. So just came on, you're feeling panicky, a little, you started to sweat. What else? Very nervous, you were getting jittery. Kind of start pacing back and forth. Yeah, an overwhelming sense of dread. Yeah. No, that's normal. So you decided to throw the game in. What kind of game was it? That's like an open world type game. Okay. So that kind of game you can kind of just go about and kind of just, what do you like, explore like a big world? You kind of just... Okay, that's great. So you just kind of took a little bit of a nature walk in the game you were playing. Well, that's excellent. See, that's calming and nice. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure battles take place, but that's good though. You have to walk around. See, certain people will kind of overcome a panic attack in certain games. Like it'll be a fighting game, people have told me, or a racing game. Anything that takes your mind off it. Some are involve a high level of violence. Some do not. Obviously, your game seems like it might have it, but you were not using it in particular. Kind of just calming yourself by taking a walk through this virtual world. That's good. Okay. And how long did you feel like this one was going on before you started? How long was it going on? 15, 20 minutes. And did you try the breathing stuff? Breathing techniques? No, wasn't working. I'm sure, yeah, I mean, it's not going to work every time, you know. Depends on the severity, too, of an attack. If this one kind of was spontaneous and came on out of nowhere, it's more of a tougher one to deal with those kind of breathing techniques. The ones like that you feel kind of coming on you, you kind of get like a slow feeling of dread or anxiety that starts to come on. Whatever the feeling may be, that's a negative feeling. You can kind of do the breathing techniques. You can kind of just like meditate, kind of zone out, you know, and, you know, kind of push it back down, defeat it before it gets big. But some of those ones that pop up out of nowhere, it's a different story. Okay. All right. So the game helped. How long were you playing the game before you really started to kind of come back to your, you know, normal feeling, your normal self? About a half hour. Okay. Yeah, I see here previous panic attacks actually come down was a little bit longer. You had to deal with it for a bit longer. So that's good. This game helped. I would consider, you know, doing that again. If another one comes on, unfortunately, they will. You know, we all have dealt, well, a lot of people, I should say, a lot of people have dealt with these, you know, so you're certainly not alone by a long shot. Okay, so you dealt with that one. Okay, so that was one instance. Did you get any other bad ones? Just a minor one, and you were able to, all right, you were able to deal with it with the breathing techniques. All right, so the anxiety, how's the anxiety been treating you? Like you've been having trouble in crowded spaces again, or, you know, you've been, okay, yeah, so you had a little bit of panic making a phone call, you had to make a doctor's appointment. Yeah, you'd mentioned that. The phone calls could be kind of a sense of dread. You're like feeling like you're going to screw something up. Something simple as a phone call, you know, this is a natural thing. A lot of people deal with this. I know it seems like, oh my God, I can't make a phone call, it's weird, I'm the only one now. A lot of people actually deal with this. You feel like you're going to mess something up. You know, they're going to answer the phone, you get panicky. That's what happens with bad anxiety. Everyday things, like making a phone call, become a problem. So you felt some anxiety from that. You had to make that phone call, but you got through it. Listen, don't worry. People, they screw up too on the other end. People miss a word, mispronounce a word, whatever it may be. These things happen every day. You know, these are normal things. Don't feel bad about that. I don't understand though. It's hard to not feel bad about it, because if it was that easy, you wouldn't be dealing with stuff. You know what? The cold weather could be causing a bit of the issue too. I know, especially with everything that's still going on here and everything. I know these past years changed people. Like people, as crazy as it sounds, kind of enjoyed it at first, and then all of a sudden their anxiety got worse as it went on. Like you have to like readjust to doing things, just regular things that you completely stopped doing for a little bit, and then slowly start to do again, or maybe you start to avoid because of the fear or whatever. Now you have people with anxiety, such as yourself. At first it's like, oh, lower crowds, things are moving quicker, it's more organized. I agree with you on that, 100%. I agree with you. I actually noticed that too, you know. Early on, going to the supermarkets, and they're like, they have that one person directing people to each, you know, line to get online. I'm like, wow, this is much more organized than normally. You go into I mean, it's actually kind of back to how it used to be when you go back into a supermarket and everybody's like bum rushing the lines, and it's just people everywhere. You don't know who's on what line. People are, yeah, up each other's asses, like you say, yeah. You know, yeah, it's kind of getting back to, I like the organization a little bit more. It flowed better that way, you know. But yeah, I find myself using self-checkout line a little bit more too, especially if I have like, you know, 5 to 10 items. I don't like to go on them with a ton of items, but perfect example. Another thing with anxiety, so that happened to you. Yeah, I've heard this actually before. Actually, yesterday, someone had same feeling. I got on a self-checkout line. They had, I think they said 6 items, and they had to look up. I think they believe they had, what was it, leeks or green onions, the same as a leek. I don't know, but they're having trouble typing in because you can't just scan that, doesn't have a barcode, and they were getting panicky even though they had to, and no one was like hurry up or anything. They were just getting the natural panic and anxiety kicked in, like, oh my god, I'm holding up the line, I'm screwing this up and getting nervous. And eventually I think the person who works in the area came over and just was like, oh, you gotta do this. Very simple fix, but simple things like that sometimes will really get you. And now they're getting people even more. They didn't right as it started, but now we're well into it. It does affect them almost tenfold down a lot of ways. So people with anxiety, it's like people who don't really get bad. Everybody gets a little bit of anxiety here today. It's natural. People who suffer like you do, bad anxiety, panic, dissociation feeling, all those kind of things. Like someone who doesn't suffer with it that much, they have to just kind of readjust themselves and get used to it again. But with you, panic, you were away from it longer, and it almost became a new norm, and now it's back to the old norm, and you're like, oh my god, what do I do? And you get more nervous. It could be unfortunately a detriment. But so you had a little bit of an issue as well on checkout line. Wasn't that bad though. You're able to just kind of, all right, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and I understand. It's been hard, and like I said, we point before. Sorry, I got a little off track. The weather, cold weather can kind of, it's a bring down for a lot of people. There's people who've moved state to warmer states because it's just the warmer weather, like a Florida or something, even like a Georgia or California. It's obviously in the past before, little restrictions and stuff. If you have the means to do it, you move to these places, and you get warm weather all year, almost all the year. It brightens up your spirits. Yeah. Well, hopefully the warm weather's coming soon, right? We're almost midway through March, so that's good. All right, so have you been taking walks? You've been taking them? Yeah, some of these days have been cold. I go for walks myself as well. I got a specific jacket I put on that helps me deal with like the 20-degree weather. Oh, you have seen me walking? Yeah, it's me in the Denver jacket. You've been a Broncos fan for a while. All right, so that's any disassociation feelings? No. So you've run into a few panic attacks. You've been able to overcome them, but that anxiety, kind of, as dreadful feelings, kind of been lingering around. That's something that could go away too, especially if you've had a few panic attacks. That feeling can linger for a bit, and it kind of just fades away. And sometimes you just gotta refocus your mind, because your mind's constantly thinking of the panic attack. Oh, am I gonna have another one? And then slowly, if you're playing the games, you're out at work, you're taking walks, watching TV, whatever. It will slowly you'll forget about it. It pushes it back in its mind. You kind of want to get rid of it completely, but that's very hard. Longer process. Yeah. All right. Actually, another thing, I had an old client. Used to get panic attacks back in the day, like late 90s, and they had videotapes of their team, the football team. They'd won like a Super Bowl or two, and they would Packers fan, actually. Yeah, because I remember them discussing how they lost to Denver, and I was kind of being a little bit of a dick about it. Not really, but just usual trash talk, which doesn't matter, because it's the team that wins, right? The fans benefit. If the team does bad, you rag on them constantly. If they do good, you reap the rewards. It's a win-win for a fan. But they would put in the old cassettes. They taped the Super Bowl run, and they put in those tapes and rewatch them, and it kind of just calmed them down, got their mind off it. So that's another thing you might do if you have DVD or YouTube videos, stuff like that. Exactly. There you go. You watch some people playing video games on YouTube. People love that kind of stuff. I've heard ASMR works for people. I watch some of that too. Yeah, anything that helps you. Everybody's gonna have different things that help them. There's no rhyme or reason to this stuff. Whatever helps you, you go with until it doesn't help you anymore. Or hopefully it continues to help you. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff you just kind of want to deal with, and it can be tough. So yeah. Seems to be enough writing for now. So what are your plans for the upcoming week? Okay, that's good. Yes, I would. If you want to try to get back into the groove of doing things and kind of confront your anxiety a little bit, your panic, go into the Stop and Shop. Is that where you go? Maybe go in like 2-3 times a week. Go to that checkout line. Bring a couple of items. Don't go spending money for no reason. But if you're normally in 2-3 days a week, or if you want to get 8 items, you need 8. Maybe do 4 one day and 4 the other. I know it's kind of weird, but especially if you need the things. And just kind of practice. As crazy as it sounds, practice with those situations is key. And the phone calls and stuff, like those are the kind of instances where you can practice on them. The more you do it, the more you get used to it, or the panic won't feel as bad. It's kind of stuff like that. Exactly. And sometimes you just want to do that. Yeah, and I know that I know you don't want to go down the route of any prescription medicine, and you told me that early on. I respect it. There's other ways to try to do it, but it's always an option if you need it. But that's great if you don't want to go that route. And, whatever your route is the route you're comfortable with. So, and it's good now that the game helped you with one, so that's a good thing. Breathing techniques, like I said, meditation. There's so many different things you can call somebody. I know the phone calls are weird, although I think calling friends or family is a little different. Because it's kind of the stranger thing, even though you probably know the receptionist or the doctor, whoever's at the doctor. You know them enough, but it still has a different, yeah, exactly. It has a different vibe. You're more comfortable making mistakes in front of family or friends. It's always a thing with the strangers. You don't know how they're going to react. So in your mind, you've already made their, reaction is already like they're going to react not badly, but they may think of you weird. Oh my God, they're not going to remember this. And I know people with anxiety, things stick with you. Little mistakes. Say you just stumble on a line in a phone call, something that doesn't even matter in the grand scheme of things. You have bad anxiety. That will stick with you for 2 weeks. You get into a fight, a shouting match. Yeah, I know you said you don't like confrontation, and if you do yell at people, you feel bad. It sticks with you. Even if you're in the right, it still sticks with you. People who don't suffer from bad anxiety, they just brush it off. It doesn't matter. They forget about it, and they're on to another thing. But I've noticed that people with anxiety, it sticks with them. I should say even people who don't have anxiety, major things, I'm not talking deaths or anything, but say you got into a fight or whatever, something at work, whatever, arguments, they can stick with anybody for a little bit. But little things, like a screwing up of a phone call, or you yelled at somebody a little bit, you said something maybe you shouldn't have, but it wasn't even a bad thing, really. But in your mind, you're projecting kind of, you're assuming their response is going to be bad and how they think about it. Kind of the way you feel, you think they're going to feel, in terms of remembering it and maybe holding it against you or whatever. But yes, little things like that become more of an issue. And it's understandable. I'm not going to, it's very common. But yeah. Do you want to is there anything else you want to discuss? Yeah, if you want to come next week, that's fine. You're kind of on your schedule, whatever you want to do. And you can always call me if you're really feeling terrible. I can just talk on the phone. We do a Skype session or something as well. I've been doing that a bit with people too, just to, if they really need to get in touch, it's a nice way to kind of, because then even after hours, I can be like, okay, 8 o'clock or something, jump on with a half hour or something like that. The way you all feel matters to me. I want you guys to feel better about yourselves and deal with your anxiety and overcome it. At least be able to get, it's impossible. I'm gonna tell you right now, honestly, it's impossible to overcome your anxiety completely, but to be able to deal with it like you did with the game, with breathing techniques, whatever it is, you get through it. Push it down, and then have less of them and deal with them better. It's hard, but it can happen. And it will happen in your instance. Alright, so next week, let me just put you in, oh, my little phone here. This is kind of nice. I got, let me see. So, when's good for you? Yes, that works. Perfect. All right. Yeah, man. You enjoy? I do actually play some video games. Yes. I stick to the older ones that I grew up with, but I played some of the new ones, not in a bit, but yes. Yeah, the last one I played was, I think, Uncharted 2. That was a while ago now, but I do stick around with the older games, though. Hey, man, if you ever want to talk video games, especially older ones, you into the retro stuff. Nice, yeah, I can give you some tips on some of those games. Yeah, next time, man, you want to discuss that? Anything you want to discuss, it's great. Sure, man. All right, enjoy your day. All right. Let's see. All right. Time to go home.